hopefully that actually works. I've got my camera in autofocus, so if this video is not completely in focus, I do apologize. Hello everyone, today's video is a very exciting one in my opinion. I am going to be giving you book recommendations based on zodiac sign, traits, qualities, all that sort of fun stuff. So I've got this website here, it's called zodiacsign.com, and you literally can pick the signs and it will give you like a list of things, their personality traits. It'll also give you like a breakdown and a description of how those traits come about for that sign. Also, if my hair's a mess, no it's not, you didn't see it. I'm trying not to put too much heat on my hair because I've obviously had it cut, and I had it cut because the ends of my hair were so bad from heat styling. So I'm trying to avoid using heat too often on my hair, so we're dealing with the mess that my hair is at the moment, so apologies for that. Random side note, I am probably going to end up eating halfway through this video, so if you see food in my teeth or you see me munching on some chips, no you didn't, mind your business, or grab a snack and a drink and join in with me. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, so first of all we're going to start off with Aquarius. Now the dates for Aquarius goes from January 20th to February 18th. Their strengths, they're progressive, original, independent, humanitarian. Their weaknesses, they run from emotional expression, temperamental, uncompromising, a bit aloof. Aquarius likes, they like to have fun with friends, risky business, fighting for causes, intellectual conversations. And their dislikes are limitations, broken promises, being lonely, dull, or boring situations. So I think how I'm going to do this is like one of the main characters kind of exhibits those traits, or the book overall gives me a feeling of that. So like a progressive book, even though that they might run from emotional expression, fun with friends, risky business, fighting for causes, intellectual conversations, and a not dull or boring book is probably something that I'm going to go with. I have a couple in my head for like the first couple of things. This is going to be way harder than what I thought it was, but we should be able to do it anyway. So I'm just going to have a little hunt around my shelves and see if I can find one that I think goes with an Aquarius. Okay, this one is a fairly new read for me. I only read it last month. However, I just think it really fits. I think the book overall is very progressive. I think that the individuals within the book can be very original. They're also very independent. The FMC in this book definitely runs from emotional expression. She can also be a bit temperamental, and she can also be uncompromising. She does like to have fun with her friends, even though she's like super strict on her life. She does like intellectual conversations, and she doesn't like limitations, broken promises. I think she can deal with being lonely, and I think she can deal with boring or dull situations, but I think everything else just fits it. And we're gonna go with Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. I think Anastasia in this, it fits so many of those things. I think Nate also fits a couple of the other things in there in the opposite ways. So yeah, Icebreaker would be the book that I would suggest for an Aquarius. There was one line in this, I was just thinking about it and I can't think of what the line was. Running from emotional expression. There's a part in this where they're like first spicy scene. I think I mentioned it in my reading vlog that I just posted today while I was reading this, and they have like, there's a party at his house, at his like college house, and she ends up in his room and she rides his face so that she runs away and doesn't speak to him for a few days, and he literally says, I've decided that today's the day that we're going to talk about it, even if she doesn't want to. Clearly she can talk about her emotions, but she just has a problem facing men that she's come on their faces. And I just think that that absolutely fits, like runs from emotional expression. To me, this book and that particular quote absolutely fits that. Okay, next up we're going to go with Pisces, which is February 19th to March 20th. Their personality traits, they're compassionate, artistic, intuitive, gentle, wise, and very musically orientated. Their weaknesses, they can be very fearful, overly trusting, sad desire to escape reality, can be a victim or a martyr. Their likes, being alone, love, sleeping, music, romance, swimming, spiritual themes. Their dislikes, know-it-all, being criticized, the past coming back to haunt them, cruelty of any kind. Okay, I have one that's popped into my head pretty fast, and you guys are probably going to laugh at me for this, but it obviously has to be the Duet, but I'm just going to hold up Haunting Adeline. I think Haunting Adeline fits that perfectly, majorly because of Adeline, Addie. She is very compassionate, she's artistic, she's a writer, and I think she is quite gentle. I wouldn't necessarily say that she's wise because she makes some very unwise choices in this book. However, she is fearful, she can be overly trusting considering this is a stalker romance, and she trusts that this stalker isn't going to hurt her, and she has a desire to escape reality, which again, with what she chooses to do in this book, she's clearly wanting to escape reality. You know, if you've read the Duet, you know that there's other bits in this to which she does also fit into. She definitely likes being alone, she loves the idea of love, she likes romance, again she's an author, and in this there is spiritual themes within this. She thinks that her house is a haunted house, so I think that really, really fits. Also in this, she's obviously, like I said, she is a writer, and she's having a hard time writing a book that she's supposed to be publishing very soon because she was criticized so hard for other books that she had written. So I think this works. I think that fits. And I think she also doesn't really like cruelty of any kind in the start. She's a very standoffish when she finds out what Zade does. So, you know, I think Haunting Adeline fits pretty well for that, for a Pisces. Also, I do want to say, if you are any of these star signs, I'm not saying that you guys are like that or like you guys would like these books. I just think that maybe the characters or the way the book's written will fit that particular star sign. If I had to put that book into a star sign, that's where I'd put it. So please don't be offended by my recommendations for the books that I give for your star sign. Okay, next up we're going to Aries, which is March 21st to April 19th. So an Aries strengths, this is my child, by the way. My child is an Aries, so they're courageous, determined, confident, enthusiastic, optimistic, honest, passionate. Their weaknesses, they can be impatient, moody, short-tempered, impulsive, aggressive. Their likes, comfortable clothes, taking on leadership roles, physical challenges, individual sports, and their dislikes are inactivity, delays, work that does not use one's talents. I feel like this is calling like fantasy to me. You know what? Because I'm currently reading the second book and I think she is very the same in it. And like I said, it's very much calling fantasy to me. So I'm going to say A Feather So Black by Lyra Selene. The FMC in this is definitely courageous. She's a fair folk. She doesn't actually know she's a fair folk straight away, but she knows that she's different. She knows that she came from a different realm. When her adoptive sister was kidnapped, she was replaced with, her adoptive sister was replaced with Fia, who was the FMC in this. She has been raised to be an assassin for her mother, her foster mother, the Queen of Fodla, Fodla, Fodla. She's been raised to kind of be an assassin for the Queen, and she's super courageous. She's definitely very determined. She's very confident in her ability, and that carries on into the second book as well. However, especially in the second book, she can be very impatient. She's very moody in this and impatient in this as well. She is very impulsive and aggressive and short-tempered in the second book as well. So I just think that this really, really fits that. She's also definitely the type of girl that prefers comfortable clothing because she's a fighter, so she's used to wearing more fighting clothes rather than like a beautiful gown or anything like that. She's also very comfortable being in a leadership role. She can handle physical challenges. Yeah, so I would say A Feather So Black by Lyra Selene because I really feel like Fia, the FMC in this, definitely fits a lot of the personality traits for Aries. And actually, you know what? Yes, I would 100% agree with that because my child reminds me, like this character reminds me a lot of my child. My child is very determined and confident and very like, I'm getting this done and I'm doing it how I want, when I want. And yeah, I don't care what anyone else says. So I definitely think that Aries is A Feather So Black by Lyra Selene. Okay, next we have Taurus, and I am very familiar with Taurus. I have dated a few Tauruses and have been friends with quite a few Tauruses as well. Their personality traits for a Taurus, their strengths, they're reliable, patient, practical, devoted, responsible, and stable. Their weaknesses, they can be stubborn, possessive, and uncompromising. A Taurus likes gardening, cooking, music, romance, high quality clothes, working with their hands. And their dislikes are sudden changes, complications, insecurity of any kind, synthetic fabrics, which is very specific. You know what? the book that comes to mind for this is actually another one that I've read recently. It is the Souls Trilogy Book 2 specifically. I think that all of those traits are between Zane and Juniper. I think Juniper doesn't really like, well, actually she's very used to sudden changes. However, she doesn't like complications to her plans. She doesn't really like insecurities. She is very practical, very devoted. She's quite responsible with what she's got to get done. And then you have Zane, who is very reliable, patient. He is stubborn. She is also stubborn. However, Zane is very possessive, but in like a great way. And they both can be very uncompromising, which is hilarious. He also likes to cook. They both like music, I think, and they both like to get their hands dirty and do some unaliving. So I think that fits pretty well, to be honest. That was the book that came to mind, and I think it fits. So Her Soul for Revenge by Harley Laroux is a book that I would say relates to a Taurus. My food just got here, so I'm gonna go get it. We're gonna take a brief intermission while I go and eat my burger, and then I'll snack on my chips and my nuggets with you guys, and we'll keep going. Okay, I have eaten. I finished eating completely. If I have food in my teeth, no I don't. Ignore it. Let's continue on. So we're gonna go into Gemini. So Gemini's strengths: they're gentle, affectionate, curious, adaptable. They have an ability to learn quickly and exchange ideas. Their weaknesses are they're nervous, inconsistent, indecisive. Gemini likes music, books, magazines, chats with nearly anyone, short trips around the town. Their dislikes being alone, being confined, repetition, and routine. Okay, people are probably going to hate me for this. Book Bestie's going to hate me for this, but I'm going to hold up ACOTAR because it's Reese. I think of Reese from ACOTAR instantly with that. He's gentle, he's affectionate, he's very curious, he's definitely adaptable. He does have an ability to learn really quickly. I know, like, I fully understand that obviously this book is just from Feyre's POV, but just the way he treats her in this, to me, like towards the end and in ACOTAR, like, he's a lot more gentle with her than Tamlin is. Yeah, I just think of him with that. Also, again, like, I think Feyre can be nervous, inconsistent, and indecisive. So I think this book as a whole fits both of those things because of the FMC and MMC. Reason really likes music and books. Feyre learns to love books as well, and like short trips around the town, like that fits for this. If you've read this, you know what I'm referring to. I feel like in this one specifically, Feyre really doesn't like being confined, neither does Reason really in this one either, as well as like being alone and repetition and routine. I feel like they're both very free-spirited and kind of want to like do whatever just feels right in the moment. So I would say ACOTAR by Sarah J. Maas is the book that I would recommend for a Gemini. Now, obviously, you need to read ACOTAR first, but this book specifically fits that. So I'm going to say ACOTAR, but this one is very specific to them. Okay, next up we have Cancer. Cancer is from June 21st to July 22. Actually, I forgot to say that Gemini is also from May 21st to June 20th. So then we have Cancer from June 21st to July 22nd. Cancers are tenacious, highly imaginative, loyal, emotional, sympathetic, and persuasive. Their weaknesses are they can be moody, pessimistic, suspicious, manipulative, insecure. Their likes are art, home-based hobbies, relaxing meal in the water, helping loved ones, a good meal with friends, and their dislikes are strangers, any criticism of mum, revealing of personal life. That is a tricky one for me. Actually, you know what? Wretched by Emily McIntire. The FMC in this, she is super moody. She's definitely pessimistic. She's definitely suspicious of other people. She can be manipulative. I don't think she's necessarily insecure, maybe a little bit, because it does open with her like being dressed up in like a wig and all this other stuff. But I also do think she is tenacious. There's a particular scene in the end of this book where her imagination definitely took the cake. She's definitely very loyal. She can be very emotional. She can be very persuasive. She definitely likes at-home hobbies, as she is a botanist for her father's empire. She's definitely doesn't like strangers. She doesn't like the revealing of her personal life. and any criticism of mum. I would say she just doesn't like any criticism of her family in general. So this is what I would suggest for a Cancer. I think that this fits right into a Cancer's personality traits, and yeah, I think Evelina Westerly. Yeah, Evelina Westerly. She fits that to a T in my opinion. Okay, now we're moving on to Leo, which is both of my parents' sign. Their personality traits are creative, passionate, generous, warm-hearted, cheerful, humorous. Their weaknesses are they can be arrogant, stubborn, self-centered, lazy, inflexible. Their likes: theatre, taking holidays, being admired, expensive things, bright colours, fun with friends. Their dislikes: being ignored, facing difficult reality, not being treated like a king or queen. Okay, not being treated like a king or queen. I'm trying to think of who that is. I'm also thinking that maybe that might be a fantasy as well. I just don't know what fantasy that would be. And also in my head, like, a Leo is very strong, very powerful, like very like, I don't know how to explain it, but I just feel like they're so like hard-headed and determined and motivated. I am going to say fantasy, and I think I'm going to say this one because I just think it fits for most of it, not all of it, but for a lot of it. I'm going to say The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is the first book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series by Carissa Broadbent. I think that both of the MCs in this, so the FMC and the MMC, so Rain and Araya, I think both Rain and Araya fit the traits of a Leo, and I also think that the story overall also fits the traits of a Leo as well. I can just see someone outside and I don't know if they're coming to my house or someone else's house. I think that Rain would like being admired. He has a lot of fun with his friends. He likes bright colours. I mean, his hair is red. So, and I definitely think that Araya does not like being ignored. There's certain realities that she doesn't like to face within this book. I think they're both very passionate. I think they both can be very generous, sometimes warm-hearted to the right people. They're both very humorous, but they are both definitely quite arrogant, stubborn, can be self-centered. They're not lazy by any means, but maybe a little bit inflexible. So I would say this would be my suggestion for a Leo. I actually also changed my mind. I think I have one better. So I'm going to give you 2 for 1 here. This is Faint-Hearted by Leah Stone and Julie Hall. This is the second book in the Cursed Fae series. The first book is called Cold-Hearted, and this one's called Faint-Hearted. Now, in this one, essentially the series is about 2 Fae realms. You have one Fae realm that has all of the Fae, like the Unseelie Fae, the Lower Folk, the Higher Folk, all that sort of thing. And then you have the other Fae, I think they call it the Fairy realm. Yeah, so you've got the Fairy realm, and then you've got Ethereum, which is the other one, like the other realm. And I'm sorry, but like, look at this artwork, it's so stunning. Anyway, the MMC in this book really fits all of the like weaknesses / dislikes of a Leo, and I feel like the FMC fits all of the strengths and likes of a Leo. So I think this is definitely very well balanced for that. She is definitely very creative. She's very passionate. She's very warm-hearted and generous. She has a heart condition, which is why it's called Faint-Hearted, where she faints quite a lot. And it's because of a heart condition. And I forget his name. I can't remember what his name is. Her name is Arabella. I feel like starts with an S. I know it starts with an S. But I can't think of what it's called. Striker, that's what it's called. Striker is definitely very arrogant, stubborn, self-centered. He's very inflexible. Again, I don't think he's lazy, but he's definitely very inflexible. I think that Arabella definitely likes the finer things in life. She likes the bright colors. She loves to have fun with her friends, even though she's kind of been locked away for a long time. I think they both dislike being ignored. They both have trouble facing the reality that is this book. So that's the book. This is probably more fitting for a Leo than The Serpent and Wings of Night, but The Serpent and the Wings of Night still fits as well. So you got 2 for 1. Okay, now we're moving on to my star sign, which is a Virgo. So that the Virgos go from August 23rd to September 12th, I believe, 22nd, sorry. Now, a Virgo is very loyal. They can be very analytical, kind, hardworking, practical. Their weaknesses: they can be shy, they worry a lot, they're overly critical of themselves and others, and all work and no play. Virgo likes animals, healthy food, books, nature, cleanliness. Virgo dislikes rudeness, asking for help, taking center stage. Now, I was talking about this with Book Bestie because I was just on the phone with him while I was thinking about doing this video. And I said to him, do you want to know what's really funny? The book that came straight to mind for this, or the character that came straight to mind for this, Violet Sorrengail from Fourth Wing. I think that she is so loyal. She's super analytical, obviously being raised to be a scribe, so she's trained to think very analytically. I think she is very kind for the most part. You even see her when she crosses Parapet that she offers a random girl that she's never met before one of her boots so that she has half a fighting chance to get across. She's definitely very hardworking, you know, studying to be a scribe and then going into the writer's quadrant and working harder than anyone to prove that she still can do that. And she's obviously very practical. She knows where her strengths and weaknesses are. She's definitely shy. She can definitely worry quite a lot. She is very critical of herself, maybe not so much of others. She is still somewhat critical of others, but I think she's overly critical of herself more than anything. And she is definitely all work, no play. There's multiple times in Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm where, you know, the squad will be going out for a drink or something and she's like, no, like, I'm too busy, I've got this to do. It's like she's just so focused on work. She obviously loves animals. We know that from her relationship with her dragons. Healthy food doesn't really get talked about. They are provided food at Bascaith anyway, so they don't really have a choice in what they eat. She loves books, again, being raised to be a scribe. She does like nature, and generally she's pretty clean. Like, from, you know, you hear the way that she has her hair up, it's very neat, very tidy, out of her way. And then Virgo dislikes, this is where I was like, yeah, Violet Sorrengail. She doesn't like people who are rude. She doesn't like asking for help. And she also doesn't really like taking center stage. And that was something that was really big in Iron Flame. Fourth Wing. For my Virgo girlies out there, Fourth Wing. Violet Sorrengail just fits that to a T, in my opinion. Okay, and now we're moving on to Libras. Now, a Libra's personality traits, they are cooperative, diplomatic, gracious, fair-minded, and very social. Their weaknesses, they can be indecisive, they avoid confrontations, will carry a grudge, carry a lot of self-pity. They like harmony, gentleness, sharing with others, and the outdoors. They dislike violence, injustice, loud mouths, and conformity. To be honest, the book that comes to mind for that is one that I haven't even done a review on yet because I've only read it this month. It would be Divine Rivals. Now, I know that this is based in a war and there's obviously violence and whatnot, but you have Iris that does not want this war. She thinks that it's futile and that this war should not be happening, among a lot of other people, but, you know, she has a personal, I really don't like this war. I definitely think she is very cooperative and diplomatic. She's definitely very fair-minded. These two are rivals, and she's definitely very fair-minded in the fact of, you know, they're up for the same position in their workplace, and, you know, it's a very competitive role, and it's very competitive to win that role. So she's definitely very fair-minded in terms of when, is it Ronan? I think it's Ronan. Roman. If Roman gets to the bulletin board before she does, she's like, yeah, no, that's fair. Fair is fair. You got there first. I definitely think that she can be very indecisive. I definitely think that she also avoids a lot of confrontations as well. And she does tend to wallow in a little bit of self-pity. Not in a bad way, like, but she definitely does. She definitely likes harmony and gentleness, and she does share with others, and she definitely likes the outdoors. There is a part in this book where these two, where Iris and Roman sit on a park bench and she helps him with his article, and, you know, they were talking about how she likes the outdoors. And like I said, she doesn't really like violence, injustice, and she's definitely more of the quiet type as well. Okay, next we're moving on to Scorpio, which I think is my rising or my moon. So I have like the sting of a Scorpio as well. I do find that I have a lot of similar traits to Scorpios as well. So a Scorpio's strengths, they're resourceful, powerful, brave, passionate, and a true friend. Their weaknesses, they can be quite distrusting, jealous, manipulative, and violent. Scorpios like truth, facts, being right, talents, teasing, passion. And Scorpios dislike honesty, revealing secrets, superficiality, and small talk, which there's a lot of that I definitely agree with, especially in my younger self. Like, there's a few things in there that might not relate to me anymore, but they definitely still relate to me now. Okay, you guys are gonna laugh at me for this one, but a book that pops into my head for this. I'm going to use my special edition because it's just so pretty. Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I think Peyton fits this super well, and I think what she doesn't fit, he fits. Like Kai fits. I think Peyton is definitely resourceful. She might not be actually powerful in terms of like having magical abilities, but she's definitely brave. He is very powerful with his magical abilities. He's got one of the strongest magical abilities in this world. And she's definitely a true friend. Once you gain her trust and you become her friend, she's going to back you 110%. She is very distrusting. You definitely see her get a little bit jealous within this book. I don't think necessarily she's manipulative. However, if you read the book, you know that she is an ordinary person. She doesn't have any special abilities like the rest of Illyria does. And she does sort of manipulate everyone into believing that she does have a special ability and that she is psychic. So I suppose you could say she is manipulative, but she has to be to survive. And she can be a little bit violent. Not by choice, but by necessity and survival. She definitely likes the truths. She definitely likes the facts. She definitely likes being right, which I always think is hilarious. And I think both of these characters like teasing and passion. Again, like the dislikes really fit. She doesn't like dishonesty. She doesn't like her secrets being revealed. Obviously, her biggest secret being that she is an ordinary and has no magical abilities. And it says small talk in here, but these two definitely do a good job at like small talk and the banter that continues on throughout this series between the two of them. So yeah, I think Powerless by Lauren Roberts definitely fits a Scorpio. I think we have two more left. Yes, we do. So we're moving on to Sagittarius, which is my best friend's star sign. So the personality traits of a Sagittarius, their strengths, they're generous, idealistic, great sense of humor. Their weaknesses, they promise more than they can deliver. They're very impatient, will say anything no matter how undiplomatic. Sagittarius like freedom, travel, philosophy, being outdoors. Sagittarius dislike clingy people, being constrained, off-the-wall theories, and details. That one sounds so difficult to me, and I'm not sure why I'm struggling to think of a book for this one. This is one that I'm really struggling with. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna go for this one. And you guys are gonna be like, how does that fit? Let me explain. So it's Her Greatest Mistake by Hannah Cowan. Now, the reason why I say this one fits, the FMC in this, who is, I always forget her name. His name is Maddox, but I can't remember what her name is. Braxton. I always forget what her name is because Braxton to me is a boy's name. So you have Braxton, who is the FMC, and you have Maddox, who is the MMC. Now, I think she is definitely very generous. She is a veterinarian, and she puts a lot of work into that. She definitely does have a great sense of humor. You can see that peek through towards the back end of this story. However, there is a plot line in this of how it's a fake dating relationship because of Maddox's public opinion, and it's because of Braxton's father that this public opinion is of Maddox. His team devises a plan for them to date, and even if it's a fake arrangement, so that what her father is saying is no longer credible because she's dating him. They both promise that like they'll make it work and blah blah blah, and throughout the whole thing you can definitely see that they're very much struggling to keep it the way that they originally promised that they would. So I think the promises more that they can deliver fits there. I think Maddox can be very impatient in this. I think they both speak their mind as well, no matter who it's going to offend or anything like that. In this, I know Braxton wants to be a traveling vet and she doesn't like being tied down in one place, and I know they also definitely like being outdoors as well. I think this one fits for a Sagittarius, which is funny because I wouldn't put my best friend on this book, but anyway. Okay, last one, we have a Capricorn. A Capricorn's strengths, they are responsible, disciplined, they have good self-control, great manners. Their weaknesses, they're a bit know-it-all. They can be unforgiving, condescending, always expecting the worst. Capricorns like family, tradition, music, understated status, quality craftsmanship, and they dislike almost everything at some point. Okay, that's hilarious to me. Okay, that's so funny that that's the book that's popped into my head looking at my shelf. Okay, Yeah, we're gonna go for that one. The book that I would say for that would be Hexed by Emily McIntire. This is the last book in the Never After series. It's the 6th novel. This is a Little Mermaid inspired reimagining. The FMC and the MMC definitely fit this very well. I think that the FMC in this is quite responsible, especially with what she does and her job in her uncle's empire. She is a good manager, especially of herself and others. She's definitely disciplined, and she definitely presents a lot of self-control in a lot of aspects. Maybe not one aspect in this book, but for most aspects she definitely does. She can definitely be a bit of a know-it-all. She can also be very unforgiving. She's definitely condescending, and she definitely expects the worst out of people. She definitely really likes family. She thinks that that's super important because she did lose her mum at a young age, and she spends, you know, she spent her entire life trying to get her uncle's approval. Definitely she likes traditions as well. She has her own specific traditions that she does. Understated status, I think that definitely applies to her because she's definitely underestimated and understated in this book. And quality craftsmanship, if you know what she does in this book, I think she is quality at her craftsmanship in this. And she definitely like dislikes almost everything at some point in this book. And I have to read you a part in this book. It cracks me up. Okay, so Vanessa in this, she says they like meet for the first time, and he asks, do you keep your name from them too, or am I special? And it says, she laughs and it tugs me in like a scarf around my neck. You're a man, honey. I'm afraid there's nothing special about any of you. And it's just so good. Like, I just think, you know, to be so disliking of that, I just think it's absolutely great. So yeah, this book is who I would say for a Capricorn. Okay, so that is it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy that. I hope that I gave you guys some good recommendations based on personality traits of star signs. I just thought it would be a different way to give out recommendations rather than just like books that I liked or what I vibed with. Maybe, you know, if you're that particular star sign, you might be able to go and read that book because you think you might relate to it a little bit, whether it be from both the characters or the storyline in general or an individual character within that book. I think you'll be able to find something in there. Or, you know, if you think that, you know, I want something that's like this and that reminds me of a Leo or that reminds me of Virgo or whatever it is, you can look at this and be like, oh, well, those books remind me of that. So like I said, I hope you guys really did enjoy this video. If you did, make sure you like this video, comment down below if you have read any of these books and what other videos you guys want to see from me. I need more video ideas. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you do get a notification every time I post a video, which I am aiming for 2 times a week. Sometimes it's 1 time a week, but I'm trying to get 2 videos up a week at the moment. And also make sure you follow my TikTok and Instagram. They'll be linked on the screen for you and in the down box below, as well as my Fable Goodreads, my Etsy shop. If you do want annotated books and you want to see my annotations, I do sell them on my Etsy shop. And yeah, that's it I think from me today. Make sure you check out my latest video that I posted today, which was my May reading vlog. I had some really good finds in that book, books that I wasn't expecting to enjoy as much as I did, so make sure you definitely go check that out. It is a bit of a longer video, but I enjoy watching longer videos sometimes. And yeah, that's it. I will see you in the next one. Bye! Mwah.